have a very special lady here today that is going to tell us about some events she has coming up. Author D.A. Jennings from right here in Harford County. What do you got coming up there, Debbie?
Well, Rich, I'm very excited to be partnering with Chick-fil-A. They are sponsoring their books and breakfast events, and the one in Constant Friendship, that is in Abingdon, they are hosting me to come and read The Tapping Stick to the children.
My favorite.
From 9:30 to 10:30. I love this book because it's such a joy and a celebration of the diversity of trees and children whose minds just soar with imagination when they hold that proper stick in their hand. And they offer free books for everybody who comes. They are sponsoring a hardcover copy of The Tapping Stick for each family that comes. So that will be the 19th of March at the Chick-fil-A at Constant Friendship from 9:30 to 10:30. And then we're traveling to the Aberdeen Chick-fil-A the following Thursday, the 26th of March, same time, 9:30 to 10:30. And once again, we are going to have a book reading. There's going to be some activities. It's going to be a lot of fun. And free books for the family, and there's nothing like reading.
That is awesome. And the fact that you're still getting people sponsoring the books makes it, and Chick-fil-A's doing it. That is great. Those of you, oh God, you have got to get out, especially for the tapping stick.
Oh, I love this book. And you know what? March comes before April, and this is a great way to prepare for April Arbor Day. And just read about the beauty of the trees that surround us.
And where can everybody find out about other events that you have coming up?
My public events are always posted on my website at dajennings.com. And my completed events are on the same website. But just for you to know what's coming up, because I'm always adding to them. And it's going to be a busy year.
I love it. Debbie, thank you so much.
And thank you, Rich.
Coming to you from the Freedom Federal Credit Union Studios, Harford County Living presents Conversations with Rich Bennett.
Slow pitch
It's probably the least sexy part of the organizing. No. The truth is...
Have you ever had a song hit you so hard you felt it in your chest, even though the lyrics weren't saying anything that deep? Because that's the mystery we're cracking today. My guest is Dr. Kurt Ellenberger, a professor of music at Grand Valley State University, a Fulbright Scholar, a retired professional pianist and composer, and a writer whose work has reached huge audiences through NPR, Huffington Post, and All About Jazz, where he's a contributing editor. Kurt takes something we all experience, music making us feel things, and he explains why it happens in a way that'll make you stop and go, wait, that's what's going on in my brain? We're talking about why minor chords are almost universally perceived as sad, how our minds can predict the next note like the universe is giving us a hint, and how music can feel therapeutic, even when there isn't a single word being sung. So if you've ever wondered why music can heal, why it can wreck you, and why it can lift you back up, you're going to love this conversation show. Go ahead and grab your tea, grab your juice, grab your bourbon, whatever you're drinking, because you're going to really like this one. How you doing, Kurt? I am looking forward to this.
Yeah, I've been looking forward to it for a long time. Thanks, Rich. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. I just love talking music. And this is because usually when we talk music, it's, I have an artist on, we're talking about their music and, favorite songs and stuff like this. But this is, well, people will know, find out. But I'm going to say we're going deep into this.
Oh, yeah.
If it makes sense.
Yep.
So before we actually get into theory or science, why does music hit us emotionally when, even when, well, there are no words?
Well, to explain that, we kind of got to get into a little bit of the acoustics of it and what the science behind it is. But I think suffice to say, it's pretty amazing that when you think about it, it's just sound waves going into your ear. And what happens in your eardrum is those analog sound waves are converted into an electrical signal. That's what your ear does. And then that travels through the nerve to your brain. And then your brain processes the sound, which is now an electrical signal. So when you put it that way, I think it makes it really kind of amazing that we have these kind of reactions to it. I'm sure you can, as you said in your intro, there's music that you put on, and by the end of it, you're almost in tears.
Yeah,
which is really pretty amazing. How does it do that? Well, it's complicated to some degree, but it's actually, once you know what it's doing, it's actually pretty simple. I've done this. Or I've talked about this at the beginning of every class that I've ever taught, because I think it's just so amazing. And in every class, the students go, "Whoa, are you serious? That's what's going on?" They literally can't believe it. And I hear back from them days later saying, I told everyone in my dorm, about this. I tried to describe it, and everybody's talking about it. So it's quite a tale, but it does need a little bit of physics, a little bit of acoustics to really get to the heart of it.
I think right off the bat, there's two songs. Whenever I hear it, I'll start tearing up. Okay, and that's even without the vocals. Amazing Grace. Once I hear that, it's like I just start. Another one is Taps. Taps. It just brings me to tears. But yet, if I hear, God, I hope I get the name of the song. I believe it's Flight of the Valkyries.
Oh yeah, the Wagner. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. I hear that, and it's like, I'm pumped up and ready to go. It's it's wild. I don't, yes. How can that not pump anybody up?
Oh, that's just so powerful.
Yeah. Oh God, I don't know what it is, but you're the professor at this. You're the expert. So why does music trigger emotion without language? What's actually happening in the brain?
Yeah. So
besides the sound waves, of course.
Yeah. So let's go through it a little bit. So I'm playing a C here. And then an octave up, if you can imagine the piano keyboard, there's another C. So we do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, right? And that keeps going all the way up to the end of the keyboard. So we call those notes C, but in reality, they're completely different pitches.
Right.
Right? They're completely different frequencies. They happen to have a certain relationship between those frequencies that's interesting, but they're completely different pitches. But as humans, there's something about those two notes that we say, wow, the one is a higher version of the lower one. Right? So there's something that we're perceiving there that is really, they're two different notes. So why do we call them an octave? Or why do we perceive those two as the same note as opposed to like these two notes? We don't perceive that as the same note, right? We perceive that as, that's pretty dissonant. We say, ooh, that's dissonant. Well, why is it dissonant? It's just two different notes. And why is this one so consonant? Well, it has to do with the relationship of the sound waves to each other. So, and I can talk about it in terms of string length too. So if the low C is a string that's 6 feet long, let's say, then the one above it is 3 feet. And the one above that is 1.5 feet. And the one above that is 3/4 of a foot. And it keeps going like that. So these pitches, these frequencies are in a 1 to 2 to 4 to 8 to 16, 32, and so on past where humans can hear. So what they exhibit is what's known in math as the binary series. 1, 2, 4, just multiplying by 2. And the sound waves are mapped on each other that way as well. So if the first string length is this long, The second one is here. It cuts it directly in half.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And the next one cuts that in half, but they all share 2, 4, 8, 16. They're going to all share the center spot, then the next spot, and the next one, so on, depending on how high you go. So that's what we're hearing there. We're hearing that these two pitches are symmetrical. When they're played together, the one pitch cuts the other one directly in half. So there's symmetry on both sides, and the relationship between the two pitches is very simple. Why? Because it's a factor of 2. So we're good with 2s, right? So if I said, grab a 8.5 by 11 piece of paper and fold it in half, could you do it with relatively good accuracy? For sure. You just fold it in half.
Yeah.
And you say, well, what about folding it into 4? Could you do that? Yeah. You just
The first time, yeah.
because you're doing the same process over and over again. You're folding the next one in half and the next one in half. So that's easy to do. If I ask you, however, can you fold it into 13 equal pieces?
Oh, my God.
Not a chance, right?
No.
So that's what you're hearing. So the grimace you just made going, 13, you couldn't do that without getting a ruler out, right?
Yeah.
So the grimace that you just showed with the 13 is exactly what you're hearing here. Because your brain recognizes that this is a, what would that one be like, 8 to 17 ratio.
Wow. Okay.
That's awful. But this is 8 to 16. So your brain recognizes that the two that are asymmetrical, that's a complex ratio, your brain recognizes that and it says, I don't like complex stuff. I want 2s. I want to have something that divides easily into 2 or 4. Can you get rid of that? And your brain actually supplies the answer to that, which is just an enormous evolutionary riddle. Well, the whole thing is an enormous evolutionary riddle, right? This whole idea that you've got this binary series that's at the heart of music, but it's also at the heart of the machines that you and I are using to talk right now, right? The binary series is what fuels, it's the engine of our computer technology. So everything that runs on a computer uses that at its foundation. But not only that, at the beginning of life, when life is conceived, a sperm meets an egg, goes inside, and then that egg splits into 2. Those 2 split into 4. Those 4 split into 8, and we have the binary series showing itself once again, which is just it's absolutely fascinating.
Yeah. Hey, all right, I got to ask you this. What got you into music?
Wow.
Because, I've always loved music. My son is very good at music, but I think I'm the only one that actually can listen to like classical opera. I just love all types of music. And I just remember as a kid growing up, the records that my father was playing were different than what my brother was playing. And yet I could sit there and listen to, my brother playing like Grand Funk Railroad.
Oh, yeah.
My father would be playing Motown. But myself, I could turn around and listen to Madame Butterfly.
Okay.
Which is, I guess kind of strange because I don't even know who turned me on to opera or even classical music. But I love it. And to me, you hear a lot of people will take like hard rock and they'll crank it up. To me, the music that's most appreciated when it's turned up loud is classical music. That's just me because I love to pick out all the different instruments and everything.
Yeah.
But what actually got you into music?
Well, I came from a very musical family, especially on my dad's side. So my grandfather was a good kind of fiddler, violinist. And my dad was he played a little guitar, he played a little piano, but he was really into choirs. So he sang in the church choir. He sang there was a German club in town, and he sang in that choir. And as kids, my sister and I, that's what we did with Dad. It was just singing. Yeah. We did rounds, we did canons, we did folk songs. It was just a singing household. That's one of the things we did together. And then I started lessons when I was about 6. Then I started lessons on the trumpet when I was about 8, I think. And I didn't like it, but my dad was really like, okay, if you're doing this, you're following this through till you're 16 or 17. And I agreed. And he made me practice each instrument 45 minutes a day. So that was
wow.
So 6 years old, and I'm practicing 45 minutes. I didn't like it, but by the time I was 12, I was pretty good. Yeah. And then I had on I'm from Canada originally, across from Detroit, Windsor, Ontario, and so I was listening to the PBS station in Detroit on the TV, and they used to have classical music and jazz on, and I heard Gustav Holst, The Planets, and I thought, what is? I just never heard anything like it. It was very movie score-esque. In fact, the first movement, Mars, so each movement is named after a planet. So the first movement, Mars, is suspiciously close to the Darth Vader theme in the original Star Wars. But so that's the level of power that this music had. And it just blew me away. And I just kept thinking, what did I just hear? So I went out and bought the record, and I'm listening to it over and over again, and it just grabbed me. And then a few weeks later, I saw Duke Ellington was on there as well, and it was the same thing, but from the jazz side of it. Yeah. And then I was hooked. After that, they couldn't shut me up. I was practicing 3 or 4 hours a day. And by the time I was 16, 17, I was working professionally in the Detroit, Windsor area. And it was just, this was my life. There was just no other possibility for me.
So how many different instruments do you actually play?
I played trumpet professionally. What I started on early was accordion, a lot of folk music, but I got pretty good at the gypsy stuff. Yeah. Yep. And then I switched to piano. And so it was really trumpet and piano, but I gave up the trumpet by the time I was 18, 19, because piano kind of took over. Yeah. All
right. So with what you were doing in the beginning, when you hit that C note, which right away, the first thing that went into my brain was Phantom of the Opera.
Oh, yeah.
It's that eerie sound. Whether it's on trumpet, piano, accordion, guitar, does it have the same effect?
Yes. It all works the same because it's all dealing with basically if you want to call it like sound gravity. It's a law of nature, right? It's every sound that is made is governed by those laws. There's just no way around it.
Okay, it's interesting. So it doesn't matter the instrument.
No,
it's the sound. It's the actual note.
It's the note and the relationship between the waves. That's what's happening. So let me play you this. Can you sing, Rich?
Oh my God, no. If I sing, everybody will turn it off.
Okay. I'm just going to play this little example, but then I'm going to ask you if you can hear the note that should come next.
Okay.
Okay. So here we go.
Why do I feel like I'm getting ready for a wedding?
It could be. Could you hear what should come next?
No, I'm not good with the notes.
Okay.
I would think a lower note, though.
Yeah, like this note.
Do that again? Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So when I do this, it doesn't come across as well when we're doing it over a camera like this. But when I do this in class, and I've done it hundreds of times, the entire class sings that note. And they're not musicians. They're not musicians. They're not trained, right? I taught mostly in the honors college. And the weird thing is that I didn't play that note. So in everything I played beforehand, I didn't play that note.
Right into it.
So the students are always just blown away. Like, how did we do that? Well, what happened there was I set up some complex waveforms that were somewhat asymmetrical. And what happened at the end was there was a 9 and a 7 against a 4. And so the 9 and the 7 against the 4, the closest factor of 2 is 8. And that's what you heard. That's the note that you wanted to hear, because the brain wants to resolve the complex waveform, the 9-7 against 4, and resolve it with a factor of 2. So what you heard was 9-7, 8.
Wow. Okay. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
So, all right. So if our brains are predicting the notes like
Yes.
they are,
Yes.
and responding emotionally, are we actually hearing math?
Yes. Your brain is doing that mathematical calculation without you thinking about it. It does this automatically. And it knows if it's hearing a complex waveform, it knows what the next pitch should be, and it will pick the closest factor of 2, usually going down. So that's what would happen here. The 9 and the 7 were converging together, and your brain said, no, that's not right. Give us the 8, and that's the solution to the complex waveform.
Oh my God. Are you still teaching?
I retired a month ago, so.
Oh man, I was going to say, I bet your classes are a lot of fun.
Well, they were fun for me. I hope they were for the students too.
I mean, to me, it's just mind boggling.
It is.
Yeah.
So
who would ever think of, math and music together?
Yeah. Yeah. You think it's an art? It is art. But
it is an art, but
it's art that's manipulating sound that's being processed mathematically by the human brain.
So it also a science?
Oh, absolutely. Well, there is a science to it. So we do have music theory, which kind of explains, how things work. And it's a theory that comes from looking at the music and saying, here's what people did in composing. So it's not a theory that's forced on it. It's a theory that comes from studying what people did and then building a theory on it. So let's go back to that note, because what's really cool, so you're expecting this, right? I'm going, okay, that's cool. But I can also then do this. So the reaction you had, which was like, whoa, I tricked you, right? In a good way.
Yeah.
I kind of fooled you. You were expecting the C. I gave you the C, but I changed everything around the C. And in doing so, because I foiled your expectations, you were kind of surprised. You said, oh, wow, where are we going
surprised that
now?
I liked it.
Yeah, because it's fun. Like in a movie when there's a plot twist, you kind of enjoy it. You say, oh, I didn't expect that. And this is how we do that in music. Composers are toying with that predictive quality, that predictive faculty that humans have to know what the next pitch or chord should be, and then they stretch it out and play with it, which gives music its narrative quality. I mean, without that, I don't think we'd have music, because there would be no reason to go to the next chord. There's no satisfaction in arriving at a certain place in a tune. Right? You just wouldn't be able to do everything that we do in music. So it's a very peculiar faculty that we have. And I looked at that a lot from an evolutionary perspective. And because I asked my friends who are evolutionary biologists, why does it do this? They steered me in the right direction. And I did a lot of research, and there's just no answer for it.
Right.
There's nothing. Like you would have to say, well, there has to be a reason in terms of evolution, that being able to predict the next note would allow you to hunt more deer than someone who couldn't, which is ridiculous. This really doesn't have a purpose like that. Or it could be, well, that because you could predict the next note, you would be able to procreate more, which is ridiculous too, right? There's no explanation for it.
Okay, now, and I don't know if you can answer this or not, but on a lot of the episodes when we're talking about music, one of the things that we've always mentioned is throughout the years how a song can change mean something different for not just you listening to it, but even the person that wrote it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that's why it's the notes, or I want to say the math behind it? It's like it's almost like designed that way to change meaning throughout the years as you get older?
Well, let's see. In terms of changing the meaning of it to you, as we listen to more and more music, and yourself was someone it seems like quite a voracious, multi-genre listener, you get better at listening, and you will hear things that you didn't hear 10 years ago. And also you get emotionally more mature and more nuanced maybe. And certain things that you hear that maybe when you were 20 you didn't like, now you hear it when you're 50 and you go, I get the psychology now. I get what this means. So I think you're the one who's changing, right, over time.
Okay.
And so you're reacting to that music in a different way 30 years later or 40 years later. There's also stuff I'm sure you listened to when you were 12 or 16 that you go, I don't listen to Kiss anymore, or
Well, wait a minute now.
Oh, hang on.
But no, you're right. I mean, and the weird thing is, sorry, I've always been a Kiss fan. But like a lot
I love
of music,
them.
but a lot like Queen, I could not stand. I did not like Queen.
Uh-huh.
But as I got older, I appreciate their music a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
One of maybe just give you another example, like when I mentioned before about how the instruments mean the same for each note played. If I would listen to anything with bagpipes before, I would just it almost like brought sorrow over me until I saw somebody, and it may, actually come to think of it, it was AC/DC.
Okay, yeah, they use some bagpipes, yeah.
Yes. And it's like, wait a minute, that can't be right. It's just, I don't know. It blows me away.
Yeah.
And now I cannot wait, because when we're done here, I'm going to have, wait. Okay. Somebody that wants to, I guess, appreciate music more and learn it, and, how it can change the feelings and, what it does to your brain. Are there any, and I don't want anything with words in it, no lyrics, whether it be jazz, classical, or whatever. And if you don't, you should write, if you have anything like this, you should write a book about it. Are there certain songs that you would suggest to people, for people to listen to, like if they want to feel joy, if they want to feel sadness, if they want to feel just angry, ones that'll change, that'll mess with the mood?
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of different, especially in classical music, because it has such a powerful means of invoking such deep emotion. So one of the ones that I think about is Beethoven's Seventh Symphony, the second movement. It is just it's like a funeral march. It's so beautiful, but it also has kind of a driving intensity to it, that you don't really get in sad music. So it's sad, but it's also got sort of an angry defiance underneath it, at least the way I read it.
Yeah.
But what I always like to do is what I did with my students, is because they came into my class, none of them knew anything really about jazz or classical music. And so, and they were always kind of worried about it. But by the end of the semester, over listening to it repeatedly, they kind of develop an appreciation for it. And what I heard was all the time, I didn't like this style or that style or that style, but I really liked this. And I listen to it now all the time. So I think for people who want to kind of broaden their horizons, like let's say you want to, like, what's jazz all about? Well, get the Miles Davis album, Kind of Blue.
Oh my God.
And just put it on and listen to it like once a week, just straight through, and tell me what you understand about it at the end of a month. So it's the repeated listening that I think really opens up a genre for you. Like the first time you listen to it, you go, "Oh, I don't really get what's going on here." But if you give it that time, right? It's like reading a good book. You need to get into the second and the third and the fourth chapter before it pulls you in. You can't just read the first page and say, "Well, I don't want to read it." So music takes time. It's one of the arts that requires that you spend an X amount of time with it in order to experience it properly, which isn't really the case with, reading a book. You can read a chapter and put it down for a week, right? Mm-hmm. But music says, okay, you're starting this at 5:00. The symphony will be over at 6. We need you here for the whole thing, right?
Right.
Which is,
wow.
Yeah.
You're listening to Conversations with Rich Bennett. We'll be right back. Let's take a little break here so I can tell you about my friends over at Four Seasons Landscape and Construction Services. And when it comes to lawn maintenance and lawn renovations, they are definitely the go-to people, even snow removal services. But something else that a lot of people don't think about that's very important that they do, stormwater maintenance, whether it's a pine clean out, remove overgrowth of woody ornamentals, debris, trash, and even drainage services. If you have a cracked foundation, they can rerun your downspouts, French drains, proper grading. There's so much that goes in to stormwater maintenance and the proper drainage in your yard, and a lot of people don't know how to do it. You don't want it to run into the bay. You don't want it to run towards your foundation. You need the professionals to take care of it. And the professionals are Four Seasons Landscape and Construction Services. Give them a call today, 443-390-YARD. That's 443-390-YARD, 9273. Or go to their website, fourseasonslandscapemd.com. Again, that's fourseasonslandscapemd.com. They're giving you sustainable landscapes for the future. And they are the ones that get your yard looking beautiful. And you even mentioned Miles Davis. Wow. I take it he was your favorite trumpet player?
Oh, he's one of them. Yeah. I mean, he was, but that album in particular, it's the highest selling jazz album of all time. And it gets,
is it really?
Yeah, it is. It still sells. I think it still sells like 100,000 or something a year. And it was recorded in 1959. Wow. So it gets cited by rock musicians, by pop bands, by classical musicians, by folk musicians. It's one of those albums that it's kind of like it's a key to the jazz world. You get that album, it's got John Coltrane, it's got Cannonball Adderley, it's got Wynton Kelly, it's got the pianist Bill Evans. And you get into that album and you can start your jazz journey because one of those pieces or one of those players will appeal to you in some way. And then you can kind of follow that stream outwards.
Oh, I always loved listening to Miles Davis. Satchmo, of course, was my favorite. Dizzy Gillespie. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
I always loved watching him.
Yeah.
To watch him play. And believe it or not, Al Hirt was another one of my favorites.
Oh, yeah. From New Orleans there. Yeah, he was kind of a modern Dixieland player. Yeah.
Those of you listening, if you have no idea who we're talking about, then I suggest you listen to them because you will be blown away. All right.
For sure.
This is, I won't really want to get into the healing part. What do you think makes music so therapeutic?
Well, I think what makes it therapeutic is the fact that we mimic the gestures, especially rhythmic gestures, but also the mood of the music. So let's say you're going to a party, right? You walk in there, you had a long day, you walk into the party, the music is, it's loud, right? So the tempo of that music is probably going to be somewhere between 120 beats per minute and 130 beats per minute, which is roughly double your heart rate. So when you're in that environment, your body starts to mimic the heart speeds up because we mimic the gestures in the music. So that's why when you want to work out, you don't put funeral music on, right? You put on music that's going to be kind of pump you up. Why? Well, because it actually, our body mimics the gestures of the rhythms and the sounds that we're hearing. So let's go the other direction. Let's say you're going to a funeral. Well, you walk into the funeral home. There's sad, kind of reflective, very slow, quiet music, and what that's telling you through the gestures of it is that this is not a place to be loud or to be boisterous or to be, to kind of push your personality here or to even talk loud. This is a place for reflection and to be quiet and to move slowly. And that's what the music's doing. That's how the music sets that mood. So in terms of being therapeutic, it does the same thing. It can take, the music can take you from being maybe anxious and nervous, and you put on this slow moving, relaxing, maybe slow chord changes, soft, slow tempos, and your body begins to mimic those gestures. And as a therapy, that's why it works so well. But it works so well not only as therapy, but in everything else that we do, because we're mimetic creatures, right? We mimic the gestures in the music as if they are human gestures. So if the tempo is really fast, boom, 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 then our walking pace is going to slowly meet that faster tempo, which is why it makes it good for working out. But if it's really slow, then that calms us down. It says, hey, your heart rate's at 78. Let's bring that down to 72. And let's slow the breathing down. Let's be a little more intentional about that. Yes. So it's directly related to music's power, which is in its ability for us to mimic what it's doing.
Why does it help? Actually, and I do believe this because you hear people say all the time, laughter is the best medicine. But why do you think music also helps people heal? And I believe it does.
Well, I think there's also, on top of what we were just saying about mimicking those things, there's also something in music that you're actually communing in some real way with the person who wrote it. So when you listen to Wagner or you listen to Beethoven, you're getting their worldview that's been condensed into sound. So they're making decisions on what the next note should be based on what their whole psychology and their philosophy of life. It's music, but it's also encapsulated human spirit and human personality. And I think that's the only way you can explain why, I really like this composer, but I don't like that composer as much. I appreciate that composer, but it doesn't grab me emotionally in a deep way. Why do I like Beethoven so much? Why do I like Brahms so much? Because something about their personality and their worldview and their philosophy is resonating with me. I get it. And so I think that's part of the therapy too, is that you're listening to music that someone wrote for a specific person or with a specific personality, and you realize that you can also adopt some of that in your own thinking, right? You can kind of walk into that person's world for a while, and if it's a calm, ordered, relaxing, and soothing world, then you're going to feel like, oh, I've almost just kind of had a conversation with a therapist, but it's but the therapist has been dead for 150 years.
Do you think, and I want to go to Beethoven here for a minute, because he was completely deaf, right?
At the end, yeah. Well, quite a ways in. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So was he like partially deaf when he started composing?
No, I think it started in the early 1800s. So he was, started to just have trouble with hearing, and then it just got worse and worse and worse until he couldn't hear at all. But that didn't stop him composing.
Well, that's what gets me. I mean, because in the beginning we mentioned sound waves, and do you think that's how he was able to do it? He was, I guess almost like we talk about this with mental health a lot, almost like rewiring his brain to feel the sound waves,
Well,
to
I
compose
think,
such wonderful music.
yeah, I think so. I think what happens with really good classical musicians and jazz musicians is that they develop really fabulous oral skills. So for a jazz musician, for example, the way we get our skills, yeah, you can go to school and you can take lessons, but really the sine qua non of learning how to play jazz is through transcription. So you put that Miles Davis album on, and you say, okay, what's the first note Miles played? Oh, it's a B flat. Okay, what's the next one? You learn their solos, and and in doing so, you develop ears where you can hear someone play something and you know what it is.
Right.
Right. So that's a skill that normal people don't have. Even a lot of musicians don't have that. But the professional jazz and classical musicians have that skill to a very high degree. So Beethoven didn't need to hear what he was writing down. All he needed to do was access his ability to hear it in his head. He knew what it sounded like without hearing it, which is incredible.
Yeah, it is. Actually, I don't even have. Has there ever? I'm sure there has been, but none that I know of. Another deaf composer?
None that I know of. Beethoven's sort of, just such a terrible blow of fate. I don't remember any others that went deaf like that.
No, either do I. That's what I say. His music just always amazed me. And then when I found that, and I didn't realize he slowly progressed to going completely deaf, but still composing after he did, which again is simply amazing. I want to talk about your classes, especially now that you're retired, because now you can talk about your students and get away with it. No, but do you remember, like, because I love the feel good stories, but I want to say like a moment where maybe just one of your students or even more of them throughout your class, and they just were so blown away and shocked and almost like an aha moment for you.
Yeah. I can tell you one from last semester. So this is
okay.
This is pretty good because it just, I'm kind of friends with this student now. So I had this student, I was teaching rock history. And it's
what?
Yeah, so I was teaching a rock history class.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Which I love doing. It's super fun class because I've related to jazz and blues, and the students really love that. So there was this one student, Liam, and he came in every day wearing a different rock T-shirt. So it was Boston one day. It was Journey the next day. Then it was the Thompson Twins, like this 80s
wow, big
band.
switch.
And then it was Duran Duran. So I thought, man, so I walked up to him, I said, man, what is this? Like, that's, you got all these shirts on. And he kept doing it. So we kind of were talking about these different bands. And I said, well, do you have a Wang Chung t-shirt? And he said, no, I was going to go see them, but I had to work, and I just couldn't make it. And so I said, well, do you like them? He said, oh, I love Wang Chung. I've got the DVD extended edition of Live and Die in LA soundtrack that they did. And I said,
wow.
So I said to him, well, Jack Hughes, the lead singer and guitar player, he's a good friend of mine. He's like, what? He says, could he sign my DVD? I said, well, I don't know. Let me check. So I texted him, and he said, yeah, have him send it to my house. I'll sign it and send it back. So this is one of these things that I just developed this really close relationship with him. And he was just, wait a minute, you just texted Jack Hughes from Wang Chung? He just completely blown away by it. So, those kind of things happen. And, honestly, the teaching, I just loved every minute of it. I always used to joke, I'll teach for free. You're paying me to go to the meetings.
Well, wait a minute. All right, so I didn't know about, you teaching rock history. What else did you teach?
Yeah, I taught rock history, jazz history, and then I taught a class in, I called it music, aesthetics, and culture. And we looked at classical music for 5 weeks, jazz for 5 weeks, and pop music for 5 weeks. and just kind of went into what are the aesthetics? Like, what is it that you're listening to in each of these different styles? And it was a really popular class and really one of my favorites.
All right. Now that you're retired, any plans on like doing any webinars or anything?
I haven't thought about it, but I've got a good friend who does a lot of that stuff and has done really well with it. So maybe I should consider it.
Yeah, you should. And I'd probably be one of the first students. I'm serious. And especially, when it comes to the history part,
yeah,
whether it be Beethoven, whether it be, I keep thinking of now, why am I thinking of Ken Burns? I think you ought to teach Ken Burns so he can do some more documentaries. Well, he did one on jazz, right?
Yeah, he did. Yeah. Yeah. Quite a controversial one.
Yeah. Oh, okay. And I don't think he did anything on rock.
No, he hasn't done anything on rock, I don't think.
Okay.
Yeah, but
so you could be the next Ken Burns or even better.
Hey, if you're talking to Ken, tell him I'm available.
You blew me away there with the rock history part. And any plans on actually doing a book?
I've written about around 50 different articles. And there's themes going through them, but I haven't really thought about doing a book. So since I'm retired, I've been doing podcasts, which kind of scratches my teaching itch. I get to share this information, and for now that feels pretty good. So we'll kind of see where it goes from there. But
well, actually, have you thought about starting your own podcast?
I don't know if I'd be good at it.
Why not? Music history with Dr. Kurt Ellenberger.
Yeah.
I mean, I would listen.
All right. Yeah, you're giving me some good ideas here.
Seriously, here's the thing. Their music podcasts are a big thing, believe it or not.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why one of the reasons that my podcast is all over the place. We talk about all kinds of things, but when we talk about music, I love it. I think you should actually look into that. You already have the equipment.
I will consider it. Yeah, it could be kind of like what I did in class, right? Just okay, here's a podcast or 2 or 3 podcasts on Beethoven. Right?
And the thing is, you can even do audio only.
Yeah. You don't have to do the video.
You really don't need the visual for it. Let the oh man.
Yeah. Not bad.
All right. I'm already pumped up for you to start this podcast. What actually got you into writing for like Huffington Post and especially All About Jazz? How did that come around?
Well, I had always done a little bit of writing, even when I was performing a lot. But around 2006 or 7, I started to notice some problems with my hands. And I went to the doctor, and he said, "Yeah, you've got this genetic condition. It's just going to get worse." And what was happening was my span of my hand my fingers were drawing in closer to each other, and I was unable to play. I was just making mistakes that I never would have made prior to that. So I kind of knew the gig was up. So I did I was commissioned by the Grand Rapids Symphony here in West Michigan for a commission to arrange Vivaldi's 4 Seasons for jazz quartet, symphony, and ballet. And so I did that, and it was I think it was 3 nights, sold out, great concerts. And I thought, that's a high point. I'm out. I don't want to kind of fizzle out here and get worse. So I quit playing professionally, and I wrote this article on kind of on jazz culture, just for fun. And I put it up on a blog. I didn't even know what a blog was. And a month after that, I got this notification that, you've been quoted in the Minneapolis Free Press or whatever the paper is up there. And I thought, well, that's weird. How does that happen? So I kept writing, and then I entered a Carnegie Arts Blogger contest through Carnegie Hall. Mm-hmm. And so I kind of rose up through that and up to about the semifinals or so. And then they kicked out all the professional writers. We were done. But then I got a call from Huffington Post and said, "Hey, we've seen your Carnegie Hall blog posts. We'd like to publish all your stuff." And I said, "Great." So I signed on with them, and I published all kinds of stuff with them for about 7 years, I think. That was 2010 to 2017. And then they closed that part of their publication down. And so then I contacted all about jazz, and I said, hey, here's all these articles that I've written. A lot of them are about jazz, and I got on board there. After a few years, they said, hey, do you want to be an editor here too? And I said, sure. So it just kind of, came out of that, kind of a tragedy
just
for
the
me.
One blog, yeah.
To lose my playing career. But, I look at it now really as a blessing. I think this has just opened up a whole other world for me that I would not have had if I just kept performing.
Now, you were playing professionally. Is anything recorded where people can go and listen to it?
Oh, yeah. On my website, I have all the recordings. I mean, I played professionally in Windsor, Detroit, all over the United States with various artists. I played with Jack Jones. I was on tour with Joey Bishop. I played with Joey Bishop, with the Temptations, Dizzy Gillespie.
Come on!
I did one gig with what's his name, Steve Smith from Journey, the drummer from Journey.
Yeah.
So I did. I played with Kenny Wheeler, the great jazz trumpet player. I played with him several times. I mean, it's all I did, right? I backed Frank Gorshin once for a week.
Get out of here!
Yep. He was hilarious.
Wow.
Yeah, he was hilarious. Peter Marshall from the Hollywood Squares.
Yeah.
I mean, all these people. Yeah, I said Temptations, a couple other Motown groups. I forget who that was, but yeah, that's what I did for a living.
Plus, you compose music.
Yeah, and it's
now
all up. It's all up on my website.
Okay, so people can listen to the compositions on there as well.
Yeah.
You mentioned something I haven't heard in a long, long time, and it used to be every musician's dream to play there. Carnegie Hall.
Yeah.
Is that still around?
Oh yeah.
Is it?
It's oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's still a thing. Just the acoustics there are so amazing. I never played there. I just did that blog contest, but a group from our school who I did play with did a concert there, and I just heard like, wow, what a place to play. Just incredible.
That's, oh God. I didn't even realize it was still around, but that's another thing too, when it comes to music, depending on live, going to see something live. It's funny how two different venues can, I want to say, almost like more or less make or break you because of the acoustics.
For sure. Yep. And also the instrument there too, right? I mean, as a pianist, you don't travel with your own instrument. You show up and
Oh, I never thought about that.
What am I playing today? It's one of the most tricky things for a pianist to get a handle on, because they're all different. Could be a 9-foot Steinway, could be a 7-foot Schimmel, could be a 6-foot Yamaha, and you just don't know what you're walking into.
Oh my God. Any bad experiences with that?
Oh, always. You get pianos that you go, oh my gosh, this thing is so bright. How do I tame it and get a richer tone out of it? And it just has to do with how it's tuned, how it's maintained, what it's kind of going for, right? If it's going for a brighter sound or a richer sound, darker sound. I always really liked the Steinways because they just were a rich, deep sound that you could really get a lot out of. Whereas, a lot of the Yamahas were a little more rock and roll, right? They were a little meant to cut through the noise and be a little brighter, which I didn't like as much.
Wow.
Yeah.
So is there anybody that you always wanted to play with and never had the opportunity to yet?
Oh boy. For me, the dream was playing with Kenny Wheeler, which I did several times. And there's a recording of me playing with him on my website if anyone's interested. That to me, that was a high point where I thought, this doesn't get any better than this. So that was my hero.
Something very important. What's the website?
Oh, it's my name, KurtEllenberger.com. Easy to find.
Which I'll have in the show notes as well. My God, Kurt, I could talk to you for hours. I'm serious. I think you really should look into starting a podcast. And just talking about music, because your knowledge and all the different genres of music that and just the math and the science behind it it's your classroom is about to get bigger if you do that.
Well, I will definitely consider it. And I really appreciate the encouragement, especially being retired. You're kind of looking around and saying, what am I doing?
Oh, come on, Kurt. Once you retire, you really don't retire.
That's what I'm finding. Yeah.
Yeah. I've been saying the same thing. It's like, no, I'll keep doing this till I'm 100. So, and it's funny, friends of mine, a lot of them have retired and they're busier now than when they retired. Whether they're, and most of them doing volunteer work.
Yeah.
Yeah. But having a blast.
Yeah. Yeah. It's great. You got to love it.
It helps you. It helps you stay young because we're all young at heart.
Yep. Exactly.
All right. So before I actually get to my last question, is there any in there? I know there's a lot more we could talk about, but is there anything in particular you would like to add?
Just that I kind of maybe reiterate, just realizing how remarkable this music faculty, our oral faculty is that allows us to have music. I guess I would just say, just consider that when you're listening to any piece of music that you like and realize that there's this process going on in your brain that is an absolute miracle. So to me, it's a never-ending source of wonderment. I hear a tune and I just think, I know what's going on, but I'm also just stunned by it. And I just think it's a miracle. So I think I would just say, let's everyone be grateful and appreciative of what we have and that ability to have this beautiful art in our lives.
Mm-hmm. And actually, all you listen, I'm going to challenge you as well. So I want you to pay attention this week. Notice what your brain is doing and notice what your heart is doing when you listen to the music. And then let me know what you discover. And I, in turn, will, of course, let Kurt know. All right. So, Kurt, this is something I really love to do. And a lot of people, when they pick whatever question they do, somehow it aligns with what we've been talking about. So pick a number between 1 and 5.
3.
3. All right. Now pick a number between 41 and 60.
47.
47. Well, it doesn't, I don't know. I guess in a way this could align with what we're talking about.
Okay.
Because, well, you think about it, music is a giant community. So what does community mean to you and how do you foster it?
I think especially in music, but just in general, I think being willing to share your passions with people builds community. And I think when you're authentic about it, when you love something and you share it with other people, there's something infectious about it that just draws people in. That's what I felt in my classes all of these years was, I'm passionate about this and I think that's coming across and students react to it that way. And you build community by sharing passions. And that's what you do as friends. That's what you do with family. But I think just in general, being open enough and vulnerable enough to share the things that you love, honestly, I think that just pulls people in. Yeah.
Well, Kurt, I want to thank you so much. I have to go listen to some guy named Kurt Wheeler and Kurt Ellenberger now. I don't know where I can find that. I guess I'm going to have to go to kurtellenberger.com and check it out.
I think you could find both of those gentlemen there.
I cannot wait to listen to this. And it's funny now. I'm going to listen to music, I think, completely different now.
Because that's fantastic.
Well, I think everybody should. Music it's amazing. I love to meditate. And I know before when I would lay down, I would put on like rock or whatever and listen to it and try to go to sleep, whether it be classics or whatever. Now, no, I need to hear them Tibetan bowls.
Okay.
Which to me is music.
Yeah.
Or even some nice soft meditation, something to relax you. And I found out I can actually meditate or go to sleep a lot faster than if I was listening to the classic stuff and, now I'm not singing in my head.
Yeah.
So, Kurt, thanks so much. It's been a true honor.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's just been great. I've been really looking forward to it, and it's just been a lot of fun.
This is one of those conversations that sticks with you because the next time you hear a song, whether it gives you chills, makes you smile, or hits you right in the gut, you're probably not going to hear it the same way again. You might catch yourself thinking about what your brain is doing, how it's predicting what comes next, why certain sounds feel resolved while others feel tense, and why something as simple as a minor chord can carry so much emotion. And to me, that just makes music even more powerful. It's not just something we listen to in the background. It's something we experience, something that connects to memory, emotion, even healing, sometimes without us even realizing it. So maybe after this episode, you don't just press play like you normally do. Maybe you slow down for a second and really listen. And I'd love to hear from you. What's a song that moves you? And now that you've heard this conversation, why do you think it does? Reach out, leave a comment, or connect with me directly. And if you got something out of this episode, do me a huge favor. Share it with someone who loves music as much as you do. Until next time, keep listening, keep learning, and keep the conversations going.